Hi, and welcome to USTV Kabbalat Shabbat, a very special day to you. You're my mother-in-law of blessed memory. Whenever we used to speak on a Friday, she used to always start the conversation, Guten Erev Shabbos, which means a good eve of Shabbat. Already on Friday, we don't look at it as a Friday the whatever. It is Erev Shabbat, ushering in later that evening the day of Shabbat. So you don't have to wait until Shabbat comes in. You already get into that mode from the morning, or at least from the afternoon. And we're well into the afternoon now. We've got about an hour and 12 minutes, I think, till candlelighting time, at least here in London. Elsewhere, maybe a few minutes longer. So thank you for joining. I hope we're going to have a wonderful afternoon together, wonderful Erev Shabbat together. This is another one of those special Shabbats. I think I spoke about this on my previous visit to help to join in the Kabbalat Shabbat, in that we have a second Sefer Torah. So every week we take out one Sefer Torah and we'll read from it consistently in a very focused manner, going from the beginning, which is on the right, all the way till the end on Simchas Torah. We celebrate and start again. And that we do every single Shabbat without fail. The only time we don't read it is when there is a proper full-blown Chag, a full-blown festival. Then we'll take out the reading relevant to that particular occasion. But otherwise, it's the same Sefer Torah. But then you have maftirs, certain additional reading at the end. And on certain weeks, it's a special one. We're now at week number 3. The first one was Shekalim, about the half shekel. The second one was last Shabbat, which was Zachor, remembering Amalek. And this week is Para. Para means the cow, referring to the red heifer, the red animal that was brought up in the time of the temple. I say it was brought up. There were only a few in history. There have only been 9 in the hundreds of years in which we have practiced this very important mitzvah, which I'll describe in a moment. And this cow had to be perfectly red. There's a lot of different rules, details. And if it fit the bill, it was then brought up as an offering. And most importantly, it was burnt. And the ashes were then mixed together with other ingredients in a very large barrel of special water that was itself drawn and secured in a special location. It was considered sacred water, sacred not in the sense that we worshipped it, but rather if anyone touched it, they would become impure, etc. And in that water, they put this mixture, this potion. And when a person became ritually impure, this potion was sprinkled on them on the 3rd and 7th day. So that the method of becoming ritually pure. So becoming ritually impure is a religious thing. It's not a hygienic or a physical thing. This is a religious idea, which is that if a person either comes into contact with perhaps a person who's passed away. Now, a person who's passed away is a wonderful individual who's done good things, we hope, in their life. But the absence of life confers a religious impurity. It's nothing to do with the individual, rather to do with a condition. And if a person was in contact, as unfortunately we have to be, we go to funerals, etc., we prepare them for burial, that very sacred act, the act of love and respect. But just being in their presence confers this impurity, and it has to be removed. When did it have to be removed? Particularly when the temple was still standing. The temple in Jerusalem. To just get into the temple, one had to be in a complete state of purity, and then they would undergo a process. And in that process, it took a week. They would go to mikveh. Mikveh is a central part of purity in the Jewish faith for men and for women. And they would have this special potion sprinkled on the 3rd and 7th day. Why is it red this week? Because we're getting close. We've just celebrated a terrific Purim. I hope you had a tremendous Purim wherever you were. And now we're starting to think of Pesach. Don't get the heartbeats too rough. It's a beautiful Chag, but there's a lot of work involved to get there. But Pesach's coming close. And in the time of the temple, one was obliged, absolute great obligation, to come to Jerusalem and partake of the Pesach offering. In order to do so, one had to be ritually pure. So this was a reminder. It's getting close now. We're getting closer to Pesach. It's still 3.5 weeks away in historic times. Nowadays, we don't have the temple, not yet. We don't have this whole concept of ritual purity, not like that, not to that degree. But we read about it because history is important from the past, but also for the future. And we want to know what sort of preparations we need before we get ready for Pesach. Besides cleaning the house, it's also about getting ready ritually. So how is it relevant nowadays if we're not going to go to the temple, at least not at this moment? The relevance is that ritual purity means that we stop for a moment and we realize that in this quick-paced world, we are so engrossed, we have to be, in earning a living, in interacting with others, in going to work, in having time at home, all these different things, we get distracted from the relationship with God. And there are certain key moments when we are encouraged to resharpen, refocus that relationship. And this is one of them. Ritual purity means that we look at the world through the lens of religion, through the lens of faith, through the lens of purity. All Hasidic Jews, just to throw that in for a moment, Hasidic Jews, the men, generally go to mikveh every single day, other than Yom Kippur when one is not allowed to. Every single day, weekdays, Shabbat, festivals. It doesn't take long. I'm a Hasidic Jew and I try to do that every day if I can. And it just gives that sense of elevation. I can't explain it. You go into a shower and you feel refreshed. One goes in a mikveh and one feels connected, elevated, refreshed in a spiritual sense. So para, when we read it tomorrow, it's a longest maftir. It has 22 verses. An average maftir on an average Shabbat is about 3 or 4 verses. You don't have long maftirs except for this week and next week. This week's is longer. It's got 22 verses, and it's all about that whole principle of elevation. You live in a physical world. You can elevate yourself physically, but perhaps more importantly, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, rise above the crass physical materialism of the world and find a point where you feel much more connected to God. So have a beautiful Shabbat, a Shabbat para. And if you can, and you are able to get to shul, it would be a good experience to hear that special maftir from a second Sefer Torah read. We're now ready for the prayers, another opportunity to be elevated and to connect with God. If you have a green Siddur, the latest version, I say latest version, it's about 15 years old now, this Siddur, but it's the latest version of the Singer's Prayer Book. We're on page 256. Yedid nefesh of harachamon meshoich avdecha eretzoinecha yarutz avdecha kemo yahyol ishtachave el mul adarecha yerav lo yedidoisecha minoi festuf v'chol ta'am Adonai ziv ha'olam nafshi chayelas ahavasecha Ana elna refana la behara isla no am zivecha Ostis chazek vesis rapei v'hoyusala simchas olam vasik yehemuna rachamecha v'chusana al beinahu v'cha כי זה כמה נחשפתי לירס בספרס וזכו אלה חמדה ליבי וחוסנה ויעלתי סלם היגלנה ופרויס חביבי עלייס סוכס שלוימך תאיר ארץ מכבודך נגילה ונשמחה בך מהר אהוב כי במועד וחננו כי מעולם דרי לי 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 דרי לי 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 דרי לי 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 דרי לי 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 דרי לי 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 דרי לי Diddy lie 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 la 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 diddy lie 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 la diddy da 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 lie lie diddy lie 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 la 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 diddy lie 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 la la diddy lie 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 la diddy lie 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 lo lie 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 Diddy lie 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 diddy da 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 lie lie diddy lie la da 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 lie la lie 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 diddy lie 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 diddy da 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 diddy lie la da 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 la and we turn the page to page 258 L'chuna Ranana, as I usually share when I do the program. These come from the last Psalms in the 90s. So there's 150 different Psalms. This is like from 94 onwards, takes us almost till 100. And it's all about early creation and how beautiful the world was and still is. And nature itself sings to God. And we humans who have that extra brand of intelligence do the same. L'chuna Ranana, page 258. L'chuna Ranana l'Adayana Nariya L'tzui She'enu Dekadma Fanav B'Sida B'Smirais Nariya Loi Ki el Godel Adonai Melech Godel al Kol Elohim Asher biyodei mechkerei aretz v'seyafois harim Loi Asher Loi hayam v'hu asahu ויבשס ידיו יצרו ויונשתחווה ונכרע נברכה לפני אדוני יוסינו כי הוא אלוהינו ואנחנו עם מרעיסי בצאן ידי הימים בקולות ישמעו על כך שלבבכם כי מריבה קיים מסע במדבר אשר ניסוני אבסיכם בחנוני גם ראו פעלי 40 שנה אקוט בדויר ואוימר עם טויי ליבה והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי ביפי הם יבואון אל מנוחתי לילה, היי שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמוי, בסרו מיום ליום ישוע סוי, ספרו בגויים, כבודוי בכל העמים נפלאי סוף, היי כי גדול אדוני, מהולל מייט נויראו על כל אלוהים לילה היי כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים באדוני שמיים עשה הוד והדר לפניו וספרס במקדש יבול אדוני משפחי סהמים הבול אדוני כבוד ואיס I הבול אדוני כבוד שמוי שאו מנך וביו לחצרוי סב לילה ישתחוו לאדוני בהדרס קודש חילום מפניו כל הארץ זמרו בגויים אדוני מלך עתיקן תבל בעלתי מות יד דינמים במישרים ישמחו השמיים בסגל הארץ הירם היום ומלואי יעלוי סודי בכל אשר בוי לילי אז ירננו כל הציור לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ ישפוט תבל בצדק וימים באמונה סוי לי 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 That song is usually sung in a lot of shuls when they sing this particular psalm. It's composed by the great composer Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. He passed away already almost 30 years ago. And he had a guitar with him everywhere he went, not on Shabbat, but he was all about music. And in his shul, they always used to sing. And as a result, many other shuls like it began to sprout and be created all around the world. And obviously a lot of his tunes are used, not everywhere, but the idea of singing was something that he very much promoted. Not everybody wants to sing their prayers, and not everybody wants to go on a clappy happy, stuff like that. What is critical, whether one is singing or not, is that one has to be passionate. Prayer is not about open the book and then looking all over the place and just turning pages. It's about getting into the words, getting connected. It's such a powerful experience. If you don't know Hebrew, then do it in English. The key thing is slowly set quality time. I hate that word quality time. Every minute is quality, but you know what I mean. Some time set aside and go through it slowly. The words become part of your life, and you'll find yourself sometimes just getting up and singing. And if you're not singing happy, you're singing something reflective. But the key thing is, do it with life, do it with passion, do it with soul. We're continuing now with page 260. Adonai malach tagel haaretz yismechu im rabim onu varofel svivav tzedek umishpat mechankis yesh levonav telechus lahitza bivsarav heiruv rakav tevel roasa batachel haaretz harim kadoin aglamasum lifnei Adonai milifnei Adonai kol haaretz yigidu hashamayim tzidkoi v'ra'u chol ha'amim k'bayda yivayishu kol evdei fesel hamisalelim bo'elilim ishtachavu loi kol Elohim shama v'tismach tzion ותקל נא בניס יהודה למען משפטיך אדוני כי אתה אדוני עליון על כל הארץ מיועד נעליך על כל אלוהים אוהבי אדוני סינורה שוים נפשו חסדיו מיד רשעים יצילם אור זרו על הצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה שמחו צדיקים בדייני והידו לזכר קודשוי. Page 262 מזמור שירו לאדוני שיר חדש כי נפלאיס עשה הושיע לימין יעזור הקודשוי ידיע אדוני ישוע סלעני הגויים גילת צדקו זוכר חסדי ואמונתו לבית ישראל בראו חלפי ארץ ישוע סלענו הוריעו לאדוני כל הארץ פתחו ורננו בזמרו זמרו לאדוני בכינור וכל זמרה בחצות צרוש וכל שופר הוריעו לפני המלך אדוני ירם היום ומלואי תבל וישבבה נהרי שמחה וכף יחד הרים ירננו לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ ישפוט תבל בצדק בימים במישרים דלילי לי לה 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 לי 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 Adonai malach yirgizu amim Yoshev keruvim tanut haaretz Adonai b'tzion gadol v'ramhu al kol ha'amim Yoidu shimcha gadol v'nei kadosh hu V'yois melech mishpatahi v'ata kenamta misharim mishpatu tzedakah b'yankov Ata asisa roimemu Adonai Eloheinu והשתחוו לעדי מרגליו קדוש הוא מוישה ויהרון בחוי הנוף ושמואל בקוראי שמוי קוירים אל אדוני והוא יענם וימות ענן ידבר עליהם שמרו עדי סוף בכל כנסן אלמי אדוני אלוהינו אתה אני שם אל נושאי הישלם ונויקי מעלני אלוהי שם רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והיא השתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. Page 264. Mizmor LeDavid, havu l'Adonai b'nei Elohim, havu l'Adonai kavod v'ois la'elai, havu l'Adonai kavod shemo yishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadras kodesh, Kohoi l'Adonai al hamayim, Eila kavod yidreim Adonai al hamayim rabim, Kol Adonai ba'koyach la'elai, Kohol Adonai behadar, Kohol Adonai shover arazim, vayishaber Adonai esarze alavonoin, vayarkidem kemo yegel levanoin v'sidyoin kamoi. Then re'emim la'elai, Kohol Adonai chotzev la'avosish, Kohol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai mir ba'kadesh, Kohol Adonai yachil elayolais, vayechesef yarois, uvehecholoi, kuloi yomer kavod la'elai, Adonai lamavul yashav, vayeshev Adonai melech li'olam, Adonai ois le'amo yitin, Adonai yevarech es amoy b'shalom, dilai elai elai da-da-da dilai dilai elai 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 elam, dilai elai 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 da-da-da-da-dai dilai elai 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 elam, lai 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 elam, da-da-da-da-da-dai lai 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 elai da-da-da-dai elam, lai 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 da-da-da-da-da-da-dam, dilai lai 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 elam, We're up to L'Chadodi, one of the most well-known words, prayers, songs in our faith, composed by a great Kabbalist, the rabbis who used to study an essential part of Torah, the more esoteric part, much more deep, a lot of it about God and about ourselves, about the soul and the cosmos as a whole, and how heaven and earth interact so delicately together. We obviously can't see the world of the spirit, but it's running parallel. And when we tap into that world and we bring that into our world, boy, are we fortunate. Are we really in a good place? So the great Kabbalists used to go out on a Friday afternoon right before Shabbat, as the sun was setting in the holy city of Tzfat in northern Israel. They would greet the Shabbat queen and feel how the world itself was beginning to rest, was beginning to embrace God. It's not another day in the week. It's Shabbat. Shabbat is a day above any other. It's a day when we really feel the closeness of God. It's very interesting that in the Talmud, there's a story, because it says in the Ten Commandments, which we read only a few weeks ago, that everyone is obligated to observe Shabbat, including one's domestic help and even animals. And there was a rabbi, he had a cow, he used to work in the field, and he sold it. He sold it to a non-Jewish person. And the cow was brilliant, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It came to Saturday morning and the farmer said, nope, let's go to the field and do work. And the cow stayed put. And he tried every trick in the book. The cow did not budge. So he ran back to the rabbi and he said, you know, you're a fraud. He sold me it's not a very good, I mean, it seemed to be the real thing, but it's failed on me. So the rabbi said, I think I know what the problem is. So he went to the farm, and he whispered in the animal's ear that it was no longer owned by a Jew, and the animal got up and went to work. That even the animal kingdom sensed that Shabbat is a different kind of day. They just sensed the beauty, the calm, the peace, and the sanctity of that special day. And that prompted, not that story, but the whole experience of Shabbat prompted Rabbi Shlomo Alkabetz, who was a Levi, who lived in Sfat, again, about 400 years ago, to compose the Chadodi. It has a lot of deep and esoteric meanings. We don't have time today to go through each one of them, but each one of these stanzas is very precious and very special. It's on page 266. Lecha doidi lekraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. Lecha doidi lekraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. Shomer v'zacher b'dibur echad ishmiyanu el hamiyuchad Adonai echad u'shema echad l'shemu l'siferes v'lishila. Lechadoidi likraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. Di lai 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 la de dam lai da 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 lam. Likras Shabbos lechu b'nei lecha ki mekoir habracha. Elai meireish mikedem nesucha soif maaseh b'machshava techila. Lecha doidi likraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. Di lai 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 la de dam lai da da lai 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 lai. Mikdash melech ir melucha Kum yitzei mitecha hafecha Rahav lach sheves b'yemek abacha V'hu yachmei l'layich chemla. Lecha doidi likraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. De lai 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 la de dam la de lai 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 lam. Hisna ari meyafo kumni levishi bigdei sifarete chami. Elayadam al yad ben Yishai beisalachmi korba el nafshi geyala. Lecha doidi likraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. Di lai 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 la de dam la de da 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 lai la. His oireri ki va oirech kumi oiri. Ayadam Uri shir daberi kevoid Adonai olayich nigla. Lecha doidi likraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. Di lai 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 la de dam la de la 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 la. Loi sevoi shiva loi si call me matish dechachiyu matehemi bach yechesu aniyei ami v'nibnesa iraltila. Lecha doidi likraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. V'hoyulim shisa shoisayich v'rochaku kol mevala oyich yosis alayich eloi hayichkim seis chasan al kala. Lecha doidi likraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. Yamin usmail tifreitzi v'yes Adonai ta'aritzi al yadish behem parti v'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha doidi likraskala penei Shabbos nekabela. Kabbalah Boi Veshalom Materes Baila Gam Besimcha ובצהלות חמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לחדיידי לי קרסקלה פני שבוס נקבלה לי 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 לה 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to join in your preparation for Shabbat, in your Erev Shabbat, leading very soon into Shabbat itself. May you have a fantastic Shabbat, a peaceful one, a calm one, one of happiness, one of joy. May all worries be removed, and may we all experience only hope and blessing and good times beginning with this Shabbat. Amen. Thank you for joining.